one who is about the money, not us. I can't believe that Mr. B is related to...
Speaking of relatives, Hello, hello, hello. My mic sounds nice. Hey. Old school like me. Yes. Okay, y'all got to move in closer. Y'all got to move in closer. We have two classes that's supposed to be coming in. They're not in yet. That's why we're a little light this evening because the teachers are keeping them in class. Go figure. Come close, come close. We're live streaming this part right here. Watch yourself now. Don't we ain't got no liability. Come on. Come in closer. Come on, students. Come in closer. Come in closer. Right here, right here, right here. Right here. Yeah. Hey! What's going on? Good to see you. Good to see you. Oh my God, this is one of my favorite movies, so I'm sorry. This is my era. Millennials. I'm glad you got to see it, though. I'm a Troy Bear fan. I can't wait. Is she here? Let me calm down. See, this is a problem. Okay, let me first just introduce your moderator this evening. Miss Tinsy Taylor is here. There she is. Hey, you better get up here. I have to just say it's an honor to have her because I've been following her on social media. She is from North Carolina. Where's my soror? North Carolina. She's now your bachelor's is from North Carolina. Your master's is from USC. She works at USC, but she's LA Film. She's family tonight. Yes. So I want to welcome Tinsy to the stage. She's going to be your moderator tonight. Please give a round of applause. And this girl right here, wow. I'm going to cry. No, I'm not. A little bit. I might tear up a little bit. I got a chance to meet her when she came. The very first day, she was a little worried about coming to film school. And a lot of people don't know that she just slipped under the radar, and she's been going to the L.A. Film School this whole time, and she graduates next month. And the fact that she's here, we've shared a bond. Girl, my back. I love her so much. I've watched her grow while she's here. She had a tough time deciding to do this, and she sacrificed a lot to be here. And I'm so proud of you. I'm so happy that you're here. And then looking at this, and now you're getting ready to go on the road with Babs. Get up here and clap for Natalie Dazelle Reed. Oh, I need them front row tickets too, Babs. And it's Shonda. I'm gonna try not to be a fan. So, the writer of Babs, producer of Babs, everything Babs. She was an actor in Babs. Listen, I've been following her for a while, and I'm very, very excited to meet her tonight. This is Mrs. Troy Bear. Yes. I love her. Tinsy, I'm leaving it to you. I'm out.
Hi, hello. My son's at USC.
Oh, there we go. Fight on. Fight on. All right, let's give another round of applause for this awesome film. One of my favorites. I am going to start the conversation off with you, Troy. So March 28th of this year will make 23 years since Babs premiered. It premiered March 28th of 1997. 23 years it's been in the game.
That's information.
So as the writer of this screenplay, did you ever imagine that your film would have this longevity and tremendous success that it has thus far?
Never. Not even for a second. I am really pleasantly surprised, and the reviews were so horrific when this film was released. I thought it will never see the light of day again. This is over, it's done. So it's such a beautiful blessing and such a lovely surprise. I'm really, really shocked, yeah, pleasantly.
So, what was the premise, the motivation behind you creating BAPS, Black American Princesses? Such a clever and creative name. Where did you get that idea?
So Quincy Jones is my godfather, and he always called us BAPS. There's 5, he has a lot of kids. I think it's 5 girls and 1 boy, and we lived in Bel Air, and he used to always say, look at these BAPS running in and out of the house. Look at you, BAPS. So it's an acronym, obviously, for Black American Princess. But for me, it meant a lot because I moved, before I moved in with Quincy in Bel Air, I was basically living in a homeless shelter in downtown L.A. No, not basically. I was exactly living in a homeless shelter, the Evangeline. And through a course of events, Quincy met me, he just adopted me, and he said, you know what, I'm going to be your godfather, which is truly what he was, because he was a man from God who helped change my life, right? Only God could have done what that man did for me. Thank you. So I was at the house, and we'd sit at the table, and there'd be like 3 forks. Jean-Luc was the cook. And there would be 3 forks, and I'm looking around like, where I come from, I'm lucky if I can find a clean fork, you know? There's 3 forks. I would just like use the same one throughout the entire, I just didn't have any of this etiquette. I didn't know any of this, and I really grew up. Those girls, Nisi and Mickey, those are my cousins. They're really named after, my cousin is Nisa, so Robert Townsend made it Nisi, and Mickey is Tamika. We call her Tit Tit. We had Tit Tit, Duke a Bird. So this is my family. I grew up with these people. This is just the life that, you know, that's my family.
Wow.
I sent you my cousin Gigi.
Yes.
My cousin Gigi, her Instagram page is so funny, but I wanted Natalie to see, like, this is really my people.
Wow. So this story is definitely personal to you.
Oh,
in a
absolutely,
myriad
yeah.
of ways.
Even the egg yolks. Aunt Tab gave Uncle Sam egg yolks, to get him up. Aunt Tab was feeling frisky. She made some egg yolks for Uncle Sam.
Wow. So Natalie, I want to transition to you now. So what was the process like auditioning for this role, and how was it working with Halle Berry?
The process was I was working at Aunt Kizzy's back porch and McDonnell Douglas. I quit McDonnell Douglas, and then I kept Aunt Kizzy's. I wanted to be around celebrities to see if they acted differently. And someone came into the restaurant and was talking about her and this movie. And then I went to my agent's office after I got off work, and I could hear, back then auditions came off of a ticker tape, and I could hear and I swear when I heard it, it sounded like it was saying, Nellie, 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 Nellie. And then she said, ooh, look at this, but she didn't tell me anything. So I got into a workshop right on Sunset and Ivar, right over there at the Ivar Theater. And I was in this workshop. Angela Means had written a skit. Faison Love came to support her and saw me, and he said, Robert's been looking for that girl. And if he doesn't find her by a certain date, they're not going to do this film. And I think she should come to my house, and we should hang out so I can see if she all right to introduce her to Robert. So after that show, Angela came and she said, girl, Faye want to meet you. He wants you to come to his house. I said, Angela, I'm not going to Faison's house. That don't sound right. She said, no, I got you. He's serious. So the day he wanted me to come, I had an audition as a phone sex operator. And I was going to be making like $30 an hour. And I was like, I could do that. And the girl said, well, when you get home, you got to have a boyfriend because you're going to have problems if you don't. And I was like, well, I'll fake a boyfriend. But I'm going to go. So I get on the freeway, and my car, like the brakes started to go out. And the exit that I had to take to get my car off the freeway was his exit. It was the exit before the phone sex audition. So I get off on his exit and I said, I'm just gonna go to his house. And if he tries anything, I'm gonna punch the shit out of him. And so I get to his house and he's real cool, but it's all day. We gotta go hang out, we gotta go to the music store, all this stuff. So then around nighttime, I said, when is Robert? When am I gonna meet Robert Townsend? And he said, oh, you're gonna meet him, you're gonna meet him. And then he says, I gotta take a shower. And I was like, here it goes. And I said, I'm just gonna get a knife from the kitchen and I'm gonna gut him like a fish if he tries anything. And he said, my phone's gonna ring. There's gonna be a beep. You press a number and that's gonna let Robert in. I was like, yeah, okay. The phone rang. I heard the beep. I pressed it. And then like not even a second or so later, I heard like a tap on the door. I went to the door and there was Robert Townsend. And, you know, Robert Townsend, when I opened the door, he looked like a Hershey's Kiss because he was like real chocolate and, you know, debonair. And I was like, I just opened the door and I looked at him and he looked at me. And we were quiet. And then before I knew it, he was in the house and we were just running the audition. But I didn't know it was the audition. And so the last scene, he said, you're in the airport, you just ran into LL, and just keep talking until I tell you to stop. And so I was a little vulgar. I was like, there's no kids here, right? Okay, good. And so I said, ooh, LL, I love you so much, I would suck the skin off your dick. And he was like, ooh, yeah, that's it. We gonna do that. And I said, oh, no, we not going to do that. And he said, no. That's the ratchetness. That's it. I said, oh, okay. And he got up. He went into the room with Faison. And he said, your phone's going to ring. I want you to answer it. No, your pager's going to go off because we had pagers. And my pager went off, 91111. And I was like, ooh, I called my agent. She was like, oh, my God, Natalie, you just got an audition with Robert Townsend and Halle Berry. I was like, what? She was like, they want you there tomorrow. I was like, and I could hear Robert saying, call Charlie, call Troy, all these names that sounded like a bunch of men, but they were women. And so the next day I get to the audition, and there are two other actresses there. I won't say their names, but they were amazing. And I brought a friend with me because I was going to cop out. And I said, you know what, Sharena? If they want a big booty like that girl got, I'm not going to get this part. And if they want somebody popular and she gets it, I'm just not going to get this part. And she was like, this part is yours. So I go into the room. There's like a conference table of people. And before I went into the room at New Line Cinema, the elevator opens up into the office. So when the elevator, it was like Hollywood. The elevator opened up, and there Halle Berry was. And I mean, when I tell you the most prettiest, most beautiful thing, her beauty is a beast. And I looked at her, and she just walked up to me, and she said, hi, Natalie. I was like, oh, hi. Okay, all right, breathe. And I walked into the room, and we were sitting there about to start the audition, and I looked at her, and I was like, oh, something ain't right. And I was just trying to look at her. I was like, this ain't right. And they kept looking at me like, are you okay? Robert was like, are you okay? Like, I didn't arrange for you to get this, and you about to mess it up because you acting weird. And I was like, well, she got something in her mouth.
Oh.
Because the original role was from two girls from New York. And they switched it to two girls from the South. So I said, Halle, what's that stuff you got in your mouth? And she said, oh, that's aluminum foil. That's my gold teeth. I said, oh, yeah, okay, we can do this now. And we did the audition, and I didn't hear anything for 2 weeks.
Oh.
And I was about to just give up. I was like, that's it. I didn't get it. And then Roberts called me, and he said, I want you to meet me at Barefoot's. I said, for what? He said, so I could show you how to waitress. I said, I just finished waitressing. I know how to waitress. He was like, just meet me there. So I get there, and it's just him and I. And then all of a sudden, he, like, freaks out. He sees something behind me, but I don't know what it is. And so we're sitting there, and he says, we're going to order breakfast. And then Halle walks up. I'm like, what is she doing here? And then she sits down and she orders 6 egg whites. And I had never seen no shit like that before. I was like, that look good, but I don't think I want it. I want bacon. And we eat, and then they remove the plates. And he says, Hallie? And she says, I didn't want it to take this long. I just wanted to be the one to tell you that we're going to have so much fun this summer. I said, doing what? She said, the movie, you got the part. And right there on 3rd and Robertson, I just started bawling, crying. And Robert started crying, and Hallie started crying. And then all of a sudden, there were scripts and vision boards and story. It was like a dream. And when I came in on the shopping spree part, and I was in the back just crying because you never know what a break looks like. And you can never, ever give up. If it's your desire, if it's your dream, it's your dream. It's your desire. No one feeds that but you. And you have to chase it. You have to go after it. And just to know that Troy went through so much in her life to get that story out of her. And it was waiting for me and Hallie, and it's still there. And I was just like, I'm so grateful to have worked with like Ian Manley and Martin Landau and Heavy D, who are in heaven, you know. It's just like to now be in the play. It's such a blessing, you know.
Amen.
It's just such a blessing. Thank you, Troy.
Amen. That's so beautiful.
Thank you. That was, wow.
Hearing each of you all's stories, just the ideas that resonate with me are perseverance, faith, resiliency, tenacity, because being in Hollywood and in the entertainment industry, you have to have a tough skin. You have to have that resiliency. What keeps you going? What keeps you motivated? I know sometimes you might have thought about giving up, but you didn't. What kept you going?
Because I gave up. I'm sorry.
Oh, you gave up?
Yeah, I left the industry.
Okay.
I left the industry. I just
Okay.
didn't want to do it anymore.
Okay.
And I went and got a doctorate in clinical psychology.
All right. Yes.
That's not giving up.
Practitioner.
No, I did a little pivot.
You changed career paths.
And now I have I've designed a program to support people who are dealing with mental health challenges. I created affordable mind care for everyone, everywhere. It's called Mindology Fitness, and it is just blown up. We're actually going to be in 20,000 schools within the next 2 months.
Wow. Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. So, yeah, I had to pivot. I couldn't. I didn't have the skin to win that game. You know, and I didn't want it bad enough, or I wasn't willing to sell out. I'm not sure, but the end result is I love what I do, and this is such a gift to come back and talk about BAPS and to see people appreciate it all over again. It's a very big part of my past, being a filmmaker. And I'm not to say I'm not going to ever direct again. I was offered something recently that didn't resonate with me, but that's the great thing is I don't have to take anything now. I can sit back and say, you know what, I'm not feeling it. So for me, it's got to either be hell yes or it's a polite no, you know. That's where I'm living right now. So I would love to be behind the camera again. So that's my answer. What did it take? It took me really getting real with myself and what turns me on. And it just didn't turn me on to fight my ass off to get a job in Hollywood. You know, my films have done very well. I still couldn't get an agent, you know.
Wow.
Yeah, so there you go. That's my answer.
Congratulations on your new career move.
Thank you. Thank you.
What about you, Natalie?
Well, for me, soon thereafter, Babs, How to Be a Player in Cinderella, I was literally on the set with my mother in Cinderella. And, you know, at 9 years old, she told me that I could do this. And I believed her. And so being on the set with her and Whitney, you know, saying, get Miss DeSalle a chair and a monitor and headsets. I want her to watch it. So the part when we go, a lovely night, I'm that 9-year-old girl because my mother is sitting right there. Cut to 8 months later, I get a call in the middle of the night, and my mother is dead. And that's when I wanted to quit because my mother was my biggest fan. And I remember going back home to Louisiana and thinking, where would she want me right now? She always wanted me to be in school. She always wanted me to continue my education. So I went back to Grambling State University. And, I was next to a catfish pond, trying to finish my degree. And I just had to come back for contractual reasons for a television show, but I really wanted to quit. And my father told me, he said, Natalie, if you quit right now, that would be like your mother dying all over again. Wow. You have to keep going. So I remember sticking it in, just sticking through it, and I looked up, and one morning I woke up and I just couldn't cry anymore because I had a wonderful mother, and she wasn't murdered or her body wasn't lost. Like, there was a process and a procedure, and I felt like I had really grieved, and I was really still in a very positive mindset that I was blessed. And then I looked up, and it wasn't a white horse, it was a black horse, and my husband was on it. And that's my husband over there, Lenny. And he's he's Jamaican, so when he came, he came. Yeah, he was he could switch that patois on me, and so he just made me laugh again. He made me happy. We were friends for a while, so it kind of eased me back into normalcy. And he has, at the time, he had a beautiful son, Sereno, and he was 4. And I was like, oh my gosh, like, if we break up, I'm going to still be with this little boy because he's so cute. But we continued our relationship. We got married. We had 2 children. And I got parts, like I got Eve. I was pregnant on Eve twice. But then after Eve was canceled, I knew I was spoiled because I had worked on shows like this and worked with great directors like Robert Townsend, because I'm watching this film and I'm going, wow, Robert directed the hell out of this film. And knowing what I know now. And I just, as we started to build our family, I just couldn't make that 7:30 red carpet call, make a homemade meal, help them with their homework, listen to their day, put them to bed. I couldn't balance it. And I felt like because I had a good mother, if she only came to the earth to teach me how to be a mother, then that was my shot. And I didn't want to miss anything. I didn't want to miss raising them. I didn't want to miss, waking up in the middle of the night with my husband and us having conversations and laughing. And I just wanted to be present. And I felt like I was going to get a shot again. I just had to wait because everything I was being offered, it didn't compare to that. It just didn't even touch it. So I believed in God. I prayed because, he's the one that blesses us with the talent. Yes. And it's in his time that we give it back to the world. We just have to know and hear the voice and get on the journey because the dream is not making it. The dream is the journey towards it. When you think about everything that you had to do to get there. So my husband, there was a job that came up, and it was in Cape Town, South Africa, and it was called The Killing of Wendy Williams. You'll probably never see it. But it required me to go to South Africa for 5 weeks. And I was like, Lenny, I can't do it. I can't leave you guys. Sereno was like 9, Summer was 6, Sasha was 3, almost 4. And I was like, I just can't do it. I can't do it. And he's like, Natalie, you gotta go. You gotta get all that stuff out of you because you're a good actress and you gotta push forward. And so I believe that because I went through the grieving of my mother and I accepted God's will, he blessed me with my husband who continued that support for me. And I'm just so grateful right now that I'm able to even film school. I took a bus every day. This is one of my classmates, Pamela Manriquez. And I took a bus every day because the kids had to get to school. And I needed to get here, and I wanted to get here early, and I wanted to be calm. And we had one car at the time, so I would get to Hyde Park in Crenshaw, get on that 210. And I just remember one day in that 4th month, somebody said, "You look like a star." I was like, "Oh, shit, what am I doing?" And I thought, I am. I'm a star on this bus because I'm going to get it. And when I would get here some days, I would just want to quit. And Ernesta was there, and Shonda was there, and all of the great teachers we had was there, and Pamela, even though we would fight, and I would go, "Listen, Linda, listen." It would be, we went through so much here. We learned so much. I'm an actress on one side. I went to the other side and learned a whole different side. And that's when in the 8th month, I was like, I can't quit now. I have to get this, because just like Babs was waiting for me, just like Eve was waiting for me, something else is waiting for me. Who knew it would be the play? Wow. Like literally, I got the offer in December. Wow. I graduate in March. I mean, you have to listen. Yeah. That voice that you hear that sounds like you, that's the spirit. That's the real essence of you connecting with the universe. And then whatever it says, you have to pray for courage and tenacity to get to the other side. So you can't quit. At no time can you quit. And I couldn't. Even when I was quitting, I was still moving forward. So.
Beautifully said. I love how you didn't give up and you're still going. You're still persevering. Yeah. And you said you graduated in March?
Yes.
Congratulations. What degree are you receiving?
An associate in film.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
Yes.
And he was my big support too, Devin. He was just like, every time I'd come to check out a book or something or tell him about my computer, even after he finished and he left, he was always someone that I could just call and talk to. And I just thank you for that so much.
That's beautiful. It truly takes a village. I'll get to you 1 second. So did you have a question?
She's got a good story.
Uh-huh.
About, you got to tell, because now you're talking about how you sold the script.
Oh.
It's a great story.
Okay. Let's hear this great story. How did you sell your script?
So that's funny. I first of all, I wrote the script in 7 days.
Oh, wow.
I haven't written anything that fast since, not even a paper in school. Those seem to take forever and a year, right? So I wrote it in 7 days because I was so inspired when I started telling people my story about how I went from a homeless shelter to, living in Bel Air. Kind of like the Fresh Prince of Bel Air in a way. It's funny because they were casting that show when I was living in the house. So Will Smith would come by and I would help him audition upstairs before he went downstairs. Wow. That's another story, right? That's funny. My daughter's like, "Another one?" Wow. She never tells me anything. So I wrote the script, and I was married to a man named Mark Berg, who's my baby's daddy. Yes. Yeah. He's so. But at the time, he was president of Island Pictures.
It doesn't even phase her. Right. No, Saw.
That's just my baby's daddy. Yeah. my grown baby's daddy. So I wrote the script. I'd never written anything before, and so he read it, and he was really apprehensive initially because, of course, now I'm his actress wife who now wants to write and direct, and he was so afraid that he wasn't going to like it, and then that was going to really put a wedge between us. So he took his time reading it, and that was cool. And also, I thought, he's a white Jewish man. He's not going to get this. He's not going to get Niecy and Mickey, But he did. He read it, and he loved it. And he said, "But you know what? It's never going to sell with your name on it." And I said, "Why?" And he said, "Because people in Hollywood are not going to want to help you." That's what he said. He was really real about it. He's like, "You're my wife." And his career was soaring, and he's like, "They're haters, I hate to be negative, but I just got to keep it real." He was like, I don't think anyone's going to want us to win at this level right now. And I was like, what are we going to do? He's like, we're going to put a different name on the script. And I was like, oh, make her Demetria Johnson. This is I always wanted to be Demetria growing up because my best friend's name was Demetria, but we called her Mimi. And so I wanted to be Mimi. So it's like, and then here's another story. Whoopi Goldberg was my next door neighbor when we lived in the projects. And her name was Karen Johnson. So, and Mimi lived next door to Karen. So you get it, I said Demetria Johnson. And you put my two neighbors together. So we sent the script out as Demetria Johnson, and we got a bidding war. Hollywood went crazy for it. And I'm not going to say who was bidding for it because I really like all the executive producers that wanted it, but I went with my friend Michael DeLuca, and Michael even said, Troy, if your name was on that script, I wouldn't have bought it. I would have never gotten around to reading it, and I probably just wouldn't have bought it because it would have looked like I was buying it because you're my friend. You know, he had his own reason for it. But yeah, he bought it, and we didn't tell them who Demetria Johnson was until we had our very first story meeting. And I walked in, and Michael's like, what are you doing here? I was like, I'm Demetria Johnson. He was like, no. Pardon? Yeah, from New Line, Michael DeLuca. Wait a minute. Come here. You come up here. No. What did I miss?
I don't know, girl.
The part of dinner? At dinner? I don't remember that part. That's okay. Sorry. I mean, maybe. I don't know. Yeah, sure. That's what happened. Absolutely. I'm sorry. I don't know. They liked it. Bob Shea did not like it. Maybe that's what you mean. He was the president of New Line. He said it was too ghetto. But again, he's an older white Jewish dude. You know, not that Jewish has any relevance here. I am Jewish, so I'm not trying to talk bad about my people. So yeah, that's how it happened. That was the story. Natalie, you telling my stories?
I just love your stories.
Oh my
You
goodness.
are. She has so many stories. You're a dynasty.
Dynasty.
Troy, with all your stories, have you considered maybe writing a book, publishing a book, being an author? Add that to your repertoire?
Yeah, so I have two books published. One is called X Free, 9 Keys to Freedom After Heartbreak, and the other one is called How to Be a Powerfully Responsible Bitch and Take Your Life to New Heights.
Oh, I need to read that. Wow.
Thank you.
Girl, get that published.
Yeah. And I'm working on a book right now called Zebra Girls Talking. And it's about women who are biracial women raised by their monoracial mothers and the minority plight that they endure as a result.
Wow.
Ooh, that's
Yeah.
mindology.
Indeed.
I'm going in.
Yes, you are. Sounds intriguing.
Wow.
Yeah, I'd like to turn it into a documentary, actually.
Yeah.
I'm in the interview. I've actually so far interviewed, I think, 31 women, and their stories are amazing. And just to say, obviously, there's such a huge difference between biracial women who are raised by their black mothers as opposed to the biracial women raised by their white mothers.
Wow.
It's almost a different human being entirely, yes, because the relatedness is missing and it impacts the construction of their identity. I know that's a broad generalization, but I think that's a safe assessment for me to make now, considering the data that I've collected. So it's pretty intense.
Okay, well, I'll definitely be on the lookout for that.
That's a sidebar.
She's deep, y'all.
Yes, she is. And this is a perfect segue into the next question I have for you about representation. So February was Black History Month. Now we're into March with Women's History, as I like to say, Women's Herstory Month. So how important is representation, and how are you intentional with everything that you do in your work? How is it represented? Women of color, being a black woman, biracial woman. How do you showcase that?
I think what I just said speaks to that. Like, I think it was Norman Lear who says you can only write about what you know. And that's what I stick to. Like, BAPS is what I know. You know, Love Don't Cost a Thing, which I wrote in direct, that's what I know.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. How to Be a Player is the only thing I wrote that I didn't know, which is why I didn't put my name on the script. I put Demetria Johnson. I left it there too. You go to IMDb, it says Demetria Johnson. Yes, yes, yes. That was a paycheck. I usually try not to do anything for money, but the money was so good. I never done that. I've never done that again. So anyway, yeah, I just try and it's the air. It has to come from here for me. It's got to be the. I always say it's the. If it's not the air I breathe, then I can't breathe. You know.
What about you, Natalie?
Well, for me, representation, you can't control a lot of it as far as who you choose or um, what people think of you. So I just try to be as mm, transparent as possible. I try to represent from a big girls, like, and even in the smallest way, I show up. I show up clean, I show up ready, I show up revitalized. Even if I'm having a bad day, I try to show up with a smile on my face because I think a smile and just putting it on your face could change not only your disposition but someone else who's going through a bad thing. So that's where I try to show up. I try to represent um, a real honest image of what it's like to be a black woman, heavy set in the business, and I don't make excuses for it ever.
I love that.
Mhm.
And I can say when I posted about the flyer on my Instagram, you commented on my post, and I was excited, like, oh my God, you commented. So yes, you do bring smiles and joy
I try.
to people's lives. Let's talk about you, a wife, a mom. How do you find time to balance with your career? With acting roles, you talked about you had that opportunity in South Africa. Your schedule is insanely busy. How do you find the time to balance it all? And what are some key nuggets that you can share with people who want to try to balance everything they have on their plates?
Well, I used to balance and control, and I found that trying to balance everything and control everything can turn you into like a bitch. So I kind of let go of that a lot because I have daughters, and I didn't want that to be the example for them. So I try my best with my daughters, and I did with our son, to teach them to be independent. I've with my son, I remember one of the first things I taught him was how to clean a bathroom because I wanted him, when he went to pick a wife, for him to go into her bathroom to know what kind of woman she really is.
Yes.
I hope my daughter's listening to this.
I was like, if it looks like this, if it doesn't like this, and he can clean the hell out of a bathroom too. To go to the mall, I used to get him to clean both bathrooms. So with my daughters now, though, I'm trying, like, my daughters are very active in school. They go to an all-girl private Catholic school. And so they're surrounded by girls all day long. And I implore them to, like, befriend everyone because you're going to see these girls again as women. And some of these women you're going to want to trust with your secrets. You're going to trust with your babies. You're gonna share recipes with. Like, no one is exempt. And so I try to, my balance is I try to teach them how to just know the basics, how to look good, know how to make a meal, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Like right now, one is just coming home from track, the other one's coming home from dance. So um, they're cooking their own dinner tonight. And at first, I used to feel guilty about that because it wasn't the balance. But I was there for so long, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. I used to walk them to school in the morning. And then sometimes they would have a way, they would get to the office and they would say, can you walk and pick us up? Because we lived like 3 blocks from their school. And when we would get home, their dinner would be done. Because a long time ago, Vanessa Bell Calloway told me in South Africa, she said, when you have daughters, try to feed them as early as possible during the day because that really builds their metabolism. If they get hungry, give them fruit or yogurt. And so that balance of being able to just first take care of yourself, put the mask on yourself first, and then always do for others. Like I always have them do things for their dad, you know, whatever it is. If it's putting him aside a plate, putting away his clothes, those are the simple things, you know, so that when you do get into that higher level of trying to compete, trying to stay above, those are simple to you. You know, I think as women, when we don't know how to take care of ourselves, that's like that just we can't go far with that. You know, you like right now, the one thing that I need in my life to balance everything out and to really, you know, just hush my husband is I need an apple pie from Troy because she told me she can make the bomb apple pie. And I went home and I told that to him, and I don't know why I did that. So that's my balance right
Okay,
now.
I can, yeah.
Yeah,
that,
yeah.
that is my forte.
Yes.
Absolutely, I can throw down.
I need that in my life for balance.
Okay, girl, I'm gonna make sure. If that's what it takes for you to have a balanced life as a mother, I'm gonna make you an apple pie every month.
Thank you.
Yes, yes.
Thank you. So that's
Yes.
what I need right now because Babs play rehearsals are 10 to 10.
You know what? I'm gonna bring an apple pie to the rehearsal.
Ooh, do that.
Right, Brookie? Isn't that a good idea? I just taught my daughter how to do. I just gave her my little secret sauce. So yeah.
Ooh, I love that.
Don't tell them. I'm gonna surprise
I'm
them.
not.
I'm gonna.
I'm not.
Brooke,
So
you help me.
that's the balance for me is just taking care of home 1st, trying to. Right now I'm a little unorganized and I'm dying from it, but I'll catch up. I'll fix it. But to me, being a woman, showing up and just being able to just get out of bed and get to that point and, you know, have my water, have my floss sticks, you know, just have everything I need to be presentable. That in itself, that's my balance. Because if I don't have that, then I don't feel like I'm representing myself for the world. So everything else is I can do. I can manage.
Very well said. What about you, Troy? So you have your doctorate in clinical psychology. You are an author. You said you want to work on a documentary. Now we find out you're a dynamic apple pie maker. How do you balance your life?
So first, I just have to say something about Natalie because she was saying how she's just present, right? She just shows up. She truly shows up. I was at rehearsal the other day, and she didn't even have to be in the space, but there was one of the actors that was learning a song, and the music director was working with him, and Natalie was just there. She was just present. Everyone else was running around doing what they do, but you were just like right there. She was with every snap. She was like I just love you, and your commitment to people is so beautiful. I just want to acknowledge you for that. You do show up. You show up, and she show out. Yes, you know exactly. Yeah, she shows up and she shows out. So the thing for me is I'm very, very picky.
Okay.
I'm really picky. Like I said, it's either a hell yes or it's a soft no. I didn't coin that term. There's a writer, his book is on the New York Times bestseller list. It's called Essentialism, and this is one of the things that he talks about. The soft no or the hard, what is the hell yes or soft no? I mean, you got it anyway. Polite no. So I'm very picky when it comes to taking things on in my life, whether it's dating, whether it's cooking for someone or whatever it is. I just don't always show up like that. I wish I could. I don't have that big, generous space that Natalie has to do that. I'm an introvert. I love being alone. I love being at home by myself. I do share my home with my daughter who's back home, and I'm so happy to have her. But I just love my own space and my own time. So I don't have a challenge when it comes to balance because I don't have a lot that I'm balancing. I really don't. And if there is something that I want and I feel like I have enough on my plate, if I really want it, then I'm just going to get a bigger plate. You know, I'm not going to not have what I want because of lack of limitation. I will expand if it's worth my expanding. But for sure, I just don't take on a lot. I mean, I don't date. I've been single for a very, very long time, and I'm just so picky. I mean, there is one guy that I thought was really interesting last week, but that's over. Oops. So, yeah, that's it. I don't really have a. My daughter says I'm one of the hardest working people she's ever met in her life. I don't sleep. Because everything I do, I love. I love it so much. I'm like, I can sleep when I'm dead. You know, I mean, I love every single thing I do. Everything that's on my plate. It's like you go to get soul food. You got the mac and cheese. You know you're gonna love that. You got the sweet potatoes. You love that. You got the chicken. You love that. And you love the greens. You love it all, and you're gonna eat it all. That's how I live my life. Everything on my plate, I am going to devour. Devour, yeah.
Yes.
Wow, Troy.
Your passion exudes just answering that question. And I have a follow-up question for you. So you mentioned about watching Natalie be present in the rehearsals. And so I know you do mindfulness and exercises on your mental state. And I know for me, I'm a planner. I'm always thinking ahead in the future, never living in the present, which I'm trying to do better with. But what advice would you share with the society that's go, go, go? We never take a minute just to relax and have a mindful moment or a meditative moment. How can we center ourselves and be more calm and appreciate the now and not look so far ahead to the future?
Okay, so that's a great question. I'm actually going to do a video because I think a lot of people are running around in fear now with the virus that's spreading wide and wild. Here's the thing, stress is a magnet for dis-ease. Stress is a magnet for dis-ease because it's scientifically proven that we have an energy field that actually vibrates 7 feet. It extends 7 feet away from our cell body, our physical bodies. So dis-ease cannot penetrate that field if you're vibrating at a frequency that is not consistent with stress. Okay, do you guys get that? So you got to make sure you keep your vibrational frequency up. You got to stay positive. You got to stay away from negativity at all costs, and don't allow anything to stress you out. If it doesn't bring you joy, which is the highest vibration you can actually vibrate at, it's the highest frequency you can vibrate at. If you're vibrating at joy 24/7, nothing can touch you. Nothing. So what's the access to having that joy ongoingly? Is to stay stress-free. And how do you stay stress-free? It's a very simple exercise. You breathe from your heart and not your head. You activate your heart's intelligence, and it's very simple. You put your focus on your heart, and you breathe from your heart 5 seconds in and 5 seconds out. It activates a total different region of your brain. It engages the frontal cortex and disengages the reptilian brain in the back. This is where stress lives. The reptilian brain, the amygdala, is responsible for the stress because as human beings, it's always looking for danger, threat, because we're here to survive. If you're breathing through your heart, then you're activating your frontal cortex, which is the part of the brain that's responsible for logic and reason. So you want to always make sure when you feel just a second of that stress, that cortisol, the adrenaline, you feel your heart rate increase. Just stop, breathe from your heart center, 5 seconds in, 5 seconds out. You'll interrupt the cortisol surge. You'll activate the DHEA, which is the vitality hormone, and you will not be stressed out. It's really that simple. Just breathe from your heart. I know that's a long-winded answer, but I'm happy to share
A great
that.
answer. Thank you for that.
That's going to be a good apple pie.
I can't wait to see you,
You
eat
ready
the
for
apple
it,
pie.
Natalie?
I would bring some ice
Girl,
cream.
you are the bomb. Girl, you smart
the
as hell.
bomb.
Damn, I just went to film school. Now I got to go to medical school. Hell, how the hell you know all of that? I'm going to have to call you and go, how do I breathe again? Ooh.
Just breathe through your heart.
I've been breathing through my nose.
Last question before we open it up to the audience. So just hearing your stories of how you went from being homeless to living in Bel-Air, and you went from waitressing to being on the big screen. I'm sure you have an attitude of gratitude and that there's so many individuals who helped you get to where you are today. So how do you pay it back? How do you give your time, talent, and treasure to bring forth the next generation of people so that they one day may be in your shoes. They can be a doctor of clinical psychology. They can be an actress. How do you give back?
Well, that's a good question because in my art, I didn't know how to do that. I felt like I didn't have the power or the knowledge because my training came from Grambling State University under the direction of Dr. Carl Von Norman and Dr. Alan Williams. And so pretty much once I got that training, I was on the road. But I felt recently that I didn't have that. I didn't have that path to be on and to bring anyone else on. That's why I came to film school because I felt like what I knew was just my gift. It wasn't something that I really studied. I mean, I went to Grambling, I learned the stage and theater and Macbeth doth come and all those things, but that was my personal accomplishments. And so I felt like to really, really be able to help the next generation, I needed to be able to know film in a way of production. And not only to know it, but to know the order. Because that's what this is, filmmaking. You have to know the order. That's what makes great films. I love Tyler Perry, but one of the things that is falling out with him right now is because he's made so much money and he's done so much. And he is the first. I've worked with him. He's great. But the order of things, when people really start dissecting your films and really start appreciating it and desiring for it to make sense, there's an order to that. And so now that I've learned that, that is my contribution to one day be in a casting audition and someone walk in and go, wow, they got it. I just have to take them to this point. And I felt like that's what Robert did for me because that was my first film. And so I don't know if you remember, he made the set very calm. He played classical music throughout the whole set. Nothing but classical and jazz. And everything was very orderly. He knew what he wanted. It was like, okay, what's going on? The time, you know. So there were things that I picked up from him that once I got to how to be a player, it was like we were playing. But then when I got to Cinderella, it was like, it was Jason Alexander, it was Bernadette Peters, it was Brandy. It was very much the order of how it's supposed to go. And I feel like after graduating from here, that's what I will be able to offer. Just that whole knowledge of, no, this is both sides. This is what you have to do. This is what you have to become to be on that journey for that.
Yes. Excellent. What about you, Troy? That was excellent answer.
My entire life is committed to 100% being of service to humanity. That's it. That's why I would
That's why
like
you
to
make
say
apple pies.
that's why I make apple pies. I like to say that's why I wake up, but actually that's why I don't sleep because I just feel like there's so much I just don't want. I heard this saying, don't die with your music in you, and I don't want to die with my message in me.
Wow.
Yeah.
You are deep. Yes.
That's my truth. That's my truth. And as long as God wants to continue to use me as a vessel to move, touch, and inspire people in any way, shape, or form, I'm not limited to how what that platform is and what that expression looks like. If it's film, it's my books, it's my research, my programs I design. I am just really here to be of service to God and humanity, and I love it. That's why I love my life.
Amen.
Apple pie coming up.
Okay, we're now opening up to the audience. Does anybody have a question? Yes, ma'am.
Um, I just, you just never know. You just never know. And you should never, ever judge anyone or take anyone for granted, their art, their gift. Ruth Carter. This is pre-Oscar Halle, pre-Oscar Ruth Carter. Ruth Carter and Black Panther, yes. One of the most amazing costume designers in the business. I was very afraid to put on any clothes next to Halle Berry. And there was a scene when we're running down the hill to go and talk to Isaac, and I have these blue jean shorts on. And I just remember being in that fitting, and I said, Ruth, I cannot come and running down no damn hill with Halle in some shorts. I have not worn shorts since the 70s. Look, all my cellulite is gonna be showing, my thighs are gonna be rubbing together. And she literally dropped her pants and she said, look at my thighs. You're beautiful too. You're gonna put these shorts on and you're gonna run fast down that hill because you look good. And literally, that is how it went. She was inspiring. She was artistic. She was very detailed. Everything about everything. When she couldn't find the costumes that she wanted, she made them. She made the Booyah costume in Halle's by hand. Because we had her and I did, our fitting was 48 hours. Like I met her on Little Santa Monica next to the Formosa, and we were locked in the room for 2 days, ordering food for literally 2 days. And when I had tried on everything and I went home, my arms were hurting. And she was like, I can't find any of it. I'm just gonna make it. And so when you have someone custom make something for you, there's an energy and a spirit to it that makes you feel so good. And she was just incredible. Now, Kim Kimball. Kim Kimball was the hairstylist, and she was not in the union. She made union on my head. I'll never forget it, the 90th day when they were about to induct her. We brought a cake in and, we was celebrating. Little did we know that her future was Beyonce and Destiny's Child. But Kim Kimball was also one of those great artists that very detailed, passion, loved what she did. She did my hair in the film. So that Booyah hair, that particular year, she won, I don't know if you guys have ever heard of Hair Wars. They take place by the airport. That particular year, she built that hair, and it had a helicopter. It's in the club Gold 2 scene. There's a helicopter on one of the girls' head. In the competition that year, that helicopter took off of that wig and flew. And the helicopter was hair.
Wow.
She won that year. And the rest is history. So when you go to start working on these films right out of film school, you should never, ever subject anyone or judge anyone, because you don't know who's who yet. You don't know who's going where and who's going to end up where. And yeah, they might be a little kooky and, corny, but they could be the next big thing. And
Yeah,
that
just be
is-
great with everyone.
Yes, be
Just
great.
be great. You just never
And
know.
open.
Yeah, and if someone's working on your set, what a beautiful gift it is to have them. And, they're there to help you realize your dream. I love everyone on my set, from craft services to my extras. Everyone is there to bring to fruition a vision that I have as a director. So gratitude should always be the attitude. And I just also want to say Ruth Carter won an Academy Award, for those of you who don't know, Black Panther. I'm sure you know.
Yes.
Yeah. But yeah, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Oh, no. That's fine. We got to say that.
Anybody else have a question? Okay, let's wait for the mic so the people that are live streaming can hear you.
Okay. Hi, my name is Bohannon. I was actually honored enough to meet you my first couple of months here. She actually happened on my set. First off, you did an absolutely stupendous job. And one of the things that always rang with me, because I was actually working at Blockbuster when BAPS came out, So I got to watch it in the store while we were doing our job, and I could not stop laughing at you and the way you handle comedy. And something that I've been hearing a lot in Hollywood, especially from other stand-up comics, is like women can't handle comedy, and I think it's bullshit because like women are making so many big stretches in comedy. How do you feel that is like amping representation for women as far as like getting better roles and more important roles in Hollywood?
It's hard because um, we don't control it as women in Hollywood. It's more of a man thing. I think that we just have to be bold. We have to be bold. We have to be present. We have to be loud. We have to make them look at us, and not in not to do something crass or disrespectful, but just to stay in the light, because our time is always now. It's just how strong are we as women to sustain and be patient and wait for it to come. Like for me, I've watched a lot of things where I haven't laughed, but I don't turn around and go to myself, girl, you funny. You need to get back out there. It just doesn't work like that. So for me, I try to every day laugh, every day find humor in something. Or even if I'm on that 210 bus, to have a conversation with someone and make them laugh. Because it's not about me being this comedic actor or this comedian. It's just about bringing joy. And I think that when we think like that as women, because we are nurturers, in this business, that could take us to another level, because you never know who's who. You never know who you're going to meet. You never know who you're going to make smile. You just don't know. But if you're always in that light and you're always positive, it'll meet up. It's destiny. It just comes together. So I never really worry about that. And, I remember one time I saw a breakdown years ago, and the breakdown actually said a Natalie DeSalle type. And I was like, damn, they ain't even give me the roll out. Like, how they just gonna say a Natalie DeSalle type, and I ain't even there yet. But I had to come back down and just, I think I kept that breakdown page. I had to come back down because thank God they even referenced me. I'm still here. I'm still standing. I'm still strong. I'm still present. And that's the most important thing, that you just have to make sure that you try not to take that comedy down a dirty road. Because once you take it down that dirty road, they can twist it a little bit. You just have to try to be light and be positive, because that's what people want. That's what people, like her and I, we laughed so much in class, it was disgusting. It was like, how much we paying for tuition? Like, but that's what got us through. And I don't know, she's from Spain. I don't know who she's going to meet one day and say, my friend, because she never knew what I did. She literally in class told me one day when we were doing a scene, because I was acting in here too. I was just like, I couldn't resist it. She told me one day, she said, you're so good. You should be an actress. And I just looked at her, I said, I should, huh? Yeah, I never would let her watch the movie. Oh, thank you, Pamela.
This gentleman down front, Donnell Turner.
Kudos to both of you. I thought you were exceptional in the film, and I thought the writing was great. It's one of my favorite movies. I remember when it came out, the reviews weren't so good. They were pretty bad, but I knew that they didn't understand. The devil is a lie. The devil is a lie. I have a three-part question, but it's all kind of connected. The bidet scene. I forgot how much I enjoyed that. I laughed out loud several times today. Y'all took liberties, obviously. Was Robert okay with letting y'all improv? Was that one of those moments where you just let the camera roll and y'all do your work, your magic?
Oh, poodle hair, everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, he came
That
to my
was
trailer.
fun.
He was like, unless I say no, just say whatever you want to say.
And just keep going.
Yeah,
I
but
love it.
I never did that. I always consulted him because I didn't really know what I was doing.
Sure.
I wasn't really trained to be in a film and be able to have that freedom. So I needed him to guide me so that I would know what, you know, was okay. So the bidet scene was just, I can't even explain it. I think we did that in one take.
Kneeling on Halle Berry's back.
That just
You
happened.
it just happened.
That
Y'all
just
were
happened.
hilarious.
That just happened. And you know,
Absolutely
Hallie is just like, she's pretty and everything, but she is tough.
Yeah.
She's not one to go, oh no, don't do that. You're gonna hurt my face. No, 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 no. She was like, we're gonna go in there and we gonna get this. You know, she's one of those girls. So I had to keep up. I had to like whatever I could do to build on top of her, I was in it. Because I had a feeling even then that she wasn't just an ordinary actress. Like she was on a road. She was on a path, and she was at that time kind of like one of the only ones, like the most prettiest, the most talented. She had all the leading roles. She was definitely on a trajectory to something. We just didn't know it was that then. So I just tried to keep up.
Well, you did.
Thank
You
you.
more than did that. And so when the director allows the actors to play as a writer, is that insulting? Is that, are you good with that? Were you kind of, ambivalent?
No, well, I trusted Robert.
Mhm.
So it was, it was good. I did have a little bit of an issue with the way that I felt like initially that he took the girls over the top. He made them a little too wretched, a little too ghetto.
Okay.
So I had an issue with him initially about that. But in retrospect, when you hire a director, you surrender to their vision,
Yeah.
right? Or you don't hire them. So I had to realize that I was the writer and he is the director. And this is his vision. Whether I like it or not, we hired him. And in retrospect, I think he made the right choice.
Were there
I really did.
conversations between the two of you, or you just completely
No, I
relinquished
just
control?
badmouthed him in the press. I did. I was just so catty about it. Because I was getting a lot of, people were really coming down on me. It's like, is this what black women are to you? Is this represents
Yeah,
do we have to be all of this to be a princess? And truth is, these are the women that I grew up with. But when I wrote it, I was thinking more of like Tracy Edmonds and Whitney Houston. That was the black American princess I was thinking about. So when I walked on the set, I was like, wow, he knows my cousins, I was like, okay, I guess it's on the page. It's on the page. He's bringing the page to life. So I just had to surrender to that, and I did apologize to him. See, here's the thing. I should have been aligned with him. I should have, initially, when I started getting bad press, I should have had a conversation with him, and then we should have had a united front. In retrospect, I would do it differently, but I was much younger then, and I was really ego-driven, and that's what I was speaking from my ego. I wasn't being a team player, So in retrospect, that wouldn't happen again. But I have to say the bidet scene is actually something that really happened to me.
Really?
Never
It's a
told me
true
that.
story,
Let's
yes.
hear
It
this.
really happened to me. Oh my goodness, and my friend was with me, and we were at this fancy party in Bel Air,
Stop
and
it.
I walked out like a wet rat.
Are you serious, Troy?
Yes, yes. Oh my gosh, hilarious.
Okay, we're going to
Thank
take one more question. I saw your hand up, sir.
My question is for Natalie.
Oh my goodness.
No, you don't have to worry. You don't have to worry.
Okay.
Well, you already know. I didn't know you had written the film, but I had shared with Natalie what the film meant to me when I went through my process. I won't share it now because I don't want nobody in here crying. But my thing is, but Baps
No,
is
tell
definitely Baps is definitely one of my guilty pleasure films. As a filmmaker, we always ask, "What are your guilty pleasure films?" So Baps is definitely one of my guilty pleasure films. It was one of the films that got me through a very tough time when I was diagnosed with a terminal illness, given 5 years to live. I was bombarded with my wife being diagnosed with multiple sclerosis, me, myself, coming back from Iraq, diagnosed with lupus and kidney disease, given 5 years to live. My daughter diagnosed with multiple sclerosis. Then my mom diagnosed with Alzheimer and dementia. So I attempted suicide, failed suicide because the gun didn't go off, it jammed. And I remember laying in a hospital bed when I went back to the hospital, and Babs had came on. I said, I am not about to watch this film. But I remember it coming on, and I was laughing just hysterically hard, so hard that my monitor started beeping, and the nurses had to come in. And I shared that with Natalie when I first met her because I was riding an elevator with people didn't know who she was. I said, do y'all know who that is? I said, let me tell y'all who that is. You know, but that was her story, that, like her performance in that film just did something for me. So I didn't mean to say all of that. But my question to you, because we talked about this when you first got here, is like now, because this is March. We're in March. So you graduate this month, right?
She's getting more apple pie.
We walk. We walk in April.
You walk, okay, you walk in April. So next month, you got a few weeks.
Yeah.
What's next for you?
Well, I coming to this school in the 7th month. You take a creative writing class. So if you're a film student here and you've just started out, don't give up. There's a teacher here by the name of Hiram Sims. He is a man of God. He is a father of 6. You walk into his class, it's like you're at Faithful Central and he is Bishop Palmer. He's playing chill hop. He's showing you how to break down a story. It is one of those classes you have to be there at 8 o'clock in the morning. You break at noon, and I just can't explain it. But in this class, he taught me how to write. And he prepared me for screenwriting. Screenwriting 1, and then there's a screenwriting 2. And screenwriting 1 is taught by a teacher named Linda. Linda, I can't think of her last name. Cowgill, Linda Cowgill. She wrote the short film book, How to Write a Short Film. So you take her for 2 months, and you cannot go from screenwriting 1 to screenwriting 2. You have to pass screenwriting 1 to get to screenwriting 2. Well, in those 2 months, you have to write a short film. It has to be less than 9, 10 pages. I didn't think I could do it, and I did it. And it's called Maxine, and it's about a 90s TV teen star who is down and out on her luck, trying to get back on Hollywood because the residuals are low, and they won't let her in through the door. So she's going to climb through a window. Wow. And I wrote it and I shoot it in the spring.
Wow,
I direct it in the spring. So I'm really, really excited about that I wrote a short film that I'm going to direct.
Yes.
So, but this is the journey. When I was in that class, I said, I need something that right after I finish film school, I can go out, like I could shoot it maybe while I'm in film school. Oh, I can't do that. I just need something that I can promote that I'm working on, but also talk about my film and talk about being in film school. Babs the play.
Yes.
I can't even begin to tell you.
Wow.
To be able to have that vehicle, get in it, drive it, and then bring everybody in the car with me on the road to the next journey. It is just, it's nothing but the light.
Amen.
So that's my next thing. Thank you. Thank you.
I want to say it was a pleasure being, yes. Oh, one more question? Okay, one more question. Who's the lucky person? This young lady right here?
Well, I really don't have a question. I want to say something to you guys because it's nothing but God that I'm sitting right here in this chair, and I'm an entertainment business student here. And I'm taking my 2nd class, and I'm here at that Los Angeles Film School because I lost my mother the day after Thanksgiving. And she went to bed that night, Thanksgiving night, and I found her the next morning. And I am here because my life is different. The world is different without your mom.
Yes, it is.
And I'm here because I'm facing this tragedy, but I'm doing it in a way that I wanted to better myself and to become a better me, to honor her. Because I lived my life to make her proud of me, but now I want to live to honor everything that she instilled in me and taught me. And I was getting in my car because our class was over, and my classmate here, Tyler, it's his birthday today.
Happy,
Happy
birthday.
birthday.
Feliz cumpleaños.
And he
I'm always
texted me. He was like, the writer from Babs is here. You need to come. They're here, And I'm sitting in the car. I'm like, gosh, because I work. I'm a working mom. I have 3 sons. And I travel all the way from Torrance to come to this school.
It's going to be worth it.
I don't take lunches so that I could leave at 4 o'clock so that I can get on that freeway to get here.
Yes, ma'am.
And I know today I'm supposed to be here and I'm on the right path.
Amen.
Because of you 2 ladies and the stuff that you guys have said tonight, it's a spirit in this room right now. And I believe that everybody that's in here that took the time out of their lives to come here and hear you guys speak and to listen to your stories and to tell your truths, that everybody is going to be blessed in a certain way and in their own way.
Yes.
And I want to thank you for telling me that to don't quit. I want to thank you for telling me about how to deal with this stress I got going on in my life and how to breathe through it.
Girl.
From my heart,
From your
because I know that's where God and my mother is.
Yeah.
And
our mothers,
yes,
that's the connection.
yes,
Because like you knew your mother, I knew mine. I watched her live. Nobody has to tell me. I know she's in heaven.
yes,
Because I watched her live. She set such a good example for me, like I'm sure yours
yes,
did.
she did.
But what you have to remember is that you had her,
Yeah,
and she left instructions, because that's what mothers do. That's why we repeat, so that when we are gone, our children can still hear us.
yeah,
So you have a guideline, you have a way to be, you follow that, and you wake up every day, and after you cry, you thank him for your mother, and you thank him for the school, and you keep going. You can't give up. I don't care how heavy the traffic is on the freeway. You gonna go, you gonna come, you gonna go, you gonna come, and before you know it, you gonna arrive.
yeah. Thank you.
You are. I promise you that. Just
bless
because you had that mother.
Thank you.
Don't y'all feel inspired, uplifted, encouraged, motivated, ready to take on the world? I just want to say, ladies, it was an absolute pleasure to be able to share this panel with you, your vulnerability, your honesty, just your faith, your spirit. You 2 are beautiful ladies, outwardly and inwardly, and I know that you're destined for even much more success. Thank you for sharing your light with all of us. Thank you in here for giving your time to come tonight. And thank you to those who watched via live stream. We appreciate you.
And thank you for your
Thank you,
wonderful
Tinsy.
questions and your generous listening. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
So awesome.